It's very unfortunate that there's no consistency amongst the centers. I mean, you might find that one center is good enough to say, you know what, they'll supplement the taxi fee, or for you to get to the hospital, and then you go to some centers where they'll absolutely say to you, you're on your own. So there is no support in the
There's no
sense.
accountability and kind of streamlining
No,
of.
there's no consistency there. It all depends on the manager that you have in the center and how sympathetic or empathetic they are of your situation. And then they would step in, and say, okay, we can make provisions in 1, 2, 3. We can provide you with a bigger room, or with the room on the ground floor. We will provide you with a taxi to take you from point A to B. In some centers, generally, you're left you're on your own. You have to figure it out on your own. And
Wow.
another thing with the allowance, like you mentioned there, it's the €38.60 weekly allowance. It's the same whether you're pregnant or you're not pregnant. You're expecting a baby, you have to prepare, yourself, you have to make preparations
For the hospital. Yeah.
you have to buy the diapers and all that.
Mhm.
That does not exist. There's no support for that.
Right.
If you did go to the social welfare office to ask maybe for a supplementary or an exceptional needs payment for the preparation of the baby,
Mhm.
the one thing that you will get told to do, number one, is why is the father of the baby not assisting you with the preparation? Second of all, we will only support you with the preparation of the baby after the baby is born.
So
I remember hearing this.
So you're telling me that, like, because I mean, we know in this country, if you are pregnant as a single mom, let's say, and you are not working, you can go down and they will give you a certain payment before the baby is born to help towards your baby bag and your hospital and everything. And then you go back again when the baby's born and they will help you towards a cot and a buggy. So people in DP, women in DP are being told,
you have to give birth first, and then you can come back and ask for that assistance. But one thing that I found very disappointing was the question of where is the father of the child, because it's not everyone that has the parent in the pic, the other parent in the picture.
Yeah.
We know, with that people, or that parents or women in direct provision face abuse as well. There's domestic violence related issues in DP. So yes, women do get pregnant, and yes, they do separate with their partners in the process. So it's really not fair to pose a question like that to someone that is coming to you and asking for assistance. I remember hearing this, and a part of me just could not believe that this is something that was said to this woman, especially because management and most of us in the center were very aware of the situation that she was going through and that she was facing. So there's no sensitivity at all, to individual circumstances. But
there also seems to be a disparity of giving assistance, because I mean, I don't know why would there be a difference between the likes, let's say, of me walking in and saying, I'm pregnant, I need assistance, and you walking in and saying, I'm pregnant, I need assistance. Why is the questioning different? Why are you told no and I'm told yes? What is the difference? At the end of the day, there's a child going to be born who needs certain things, who's going to need Pampers, who's going to need clothes, who's going to need these things. And as a woman,
you can't prepare for a baby after they've been born.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense for you to say you need to come back when the baby has arrived.
If you turned up with a naked baby and said, okay, I need assistance.
Here we go.
Yeah.
But that's one of the challenges that so many have to face, because then now you have to try and find a way of balancing that €38.60 and stretching it the extra mile, to make provisions for that.
And having to go to extra, kind of having to go to appointments and having to have a few snacks here and there while you're doing it. Every pregnant woman does. You're growing a child inside you. Naturally, you're going to need more food. On top of
clothes, you're going to need more clothes. You're going to need.
Of course you are, because you're expanding.
Yeah.
But then I suppose coming from that, then mental health then becomes an issue, can become an issue for many women. We all know about this. There can be a stigma around it, and a lot of women are maybe embarrassed to say, you know, I'm not doing okay. I mean, we have postnatal depression. There's also prenatal depression, and there's all those other kind of aspects that feed into, if you're already being oppressed, you're already trying to navigate a really difficult time as a woman with no support. On top of that, now your mental health starts suffering. Um, you know, what are the supports there for that? Are there any supports there for that? Are there any caseworkers that work with women who are pregnant who are suffering pre or postnatally?
There would be supports in the sense of, you know, from the hospital, right? So
Okay.
it wouldn't be something that is direct provision specific. So
Okay.
it's the same service that someone would get if they were experiencing mental health issues during pregnancy, and they say this maybe to their midwife or their doctor.
Okay.
Then, you know, that's when you know, that service would be made available, and a caseworker would be appointed to you through the maternity hospital, right? But outside of that, say in the case of someone that is not pregnant, and is facing those mental health challenges, of which we know is very prominent because of the situation that you have found yourself in.
Mhm.
There's no specific service that exists to assist women or people that are living in direct provision. You would have to follow the same procedure of going to your GP, explaining that, you know, you're finding yourself to be, you know, be having certain feelings or not in an okay state of mind. And then you'd obviously get on, you know, be referred, get onto the waiting list, etc. That could take years before that happens. And what we often see happening is GPs most of the time just prescribing, you know, tablets essentially
Yeah,
to
we've heard a lot of that. We've heard a lot of people just being prescribed with
yeah,
antidepressants and
yeah,
sleeping tablets as
sleeping
well.
pills most of the time. Yeah, because most of the time, you know, when you're trying to express that you're not okay, the one thing you'll be saying is that I'm not sleeping. You know, you hear this a lot in direct provision when you talk to people, is that I'm not sleeping, I'm not able to sleep at all. So I guess when you finally go to your GP, when you're trying to explain or to express that, you know, you're not able to cope, it often comes across as I'm not sleeping. And what's happening most of the time is that people are just getting prescribed sleeping tablets. Or maybe in the rare cases, you do get prescribed the antidepressant, but then you're not getting any help
Yeah.
that will, you know, help you understand or deal with the underlying issues.
Plaster. It's a plaster on a problem. So it's not actually
Yes,
digging into the
exactly.
root of what's causing the problem. You're
Yes,
just covering
yes.
the problem by making it
Yeah, it's
clearer.
very, very
You're
cosmetic.
not actually getting into what is wrong.
What's wrong, yeah. And
Yeah.
what's really needed is, you know, a specific counseling or support service that deals with people who have not only experienced trauma, but experienced that, you know, things, trauma that occurs while they're living in the direct provision centers,
It's
because
almost a trauma
just
on top
really
of the
that
trauma,
setting
really, isn't
alone.
it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because no matter
Yes,
what you have faced just to get here, now
yes.
all of a sudden you're being faced with a whole new set of traumas.
Yeah,
And I think for women in particular, you know, I mean, because a lot of the times, a lot of women, there's children involved. So you're you're trying to, you know, kind of do the best you can as a parent. But then as a person, you're suffering more because
yes,
you're putting on this facade to your children
yeah.
that everything is fine and you're making everything fine and trying to give them as normal a life as you possibly can in a very difficult situation. Because, you know, again, it comes back to, I mean, I'm a mother, and I can't imagine what it must be like, you know, for my kids to be coming home and they want to have play dates and they want to have birthday parties and they want to, you know, do stuff with their friends. They want to have friends over. They want to just be children. And as a mother, that you have to continuously say, no, I'm sorry, we can't do that. And I can't
That takes,
give you that.
yeah, that takes a toll on you as a parent, right? Because you're failing to
Mm.
fulfill that very role that you're meant to, you know, to play. You're failing to be a parent. So a
Mhm.
lot of the time you're questioning yourself and your abilities to parent,
Right.
because essentially you start to see yourself as a failure. And in some cases, you know, your children start to see that as well. They start to see you as that as well. Because if your child is asking you for a fiver and you cannot provide that, I mean, what are they thinking to themselves? And
Yeah.
that not only weighs on the parent but on the child as well, you know. It it affects the child's
Well,
mental
yeah.
health as well, because they're not getting that whether it's that attention or those little things, you know, that
Well, they're not getting to
that
be like everybody else. It's that
yeah,
kind of,
exactly, that's it.
even as an adult, when we look back at being children or young teenagers, there's that need to fit in, that need to be like everybody else. Okay, maybe
Yeah,
you're not going to be wearing, Nikes, or you're not going to be wearing,
yeah,
whatever, and having fancy holidays, but just general stuff. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like
So,
if
I mean,
Jack is having two people over this Saturday for a play date, and I've
why
been
couldn't I
invited,
go?
why can't I have a play date? I mean,
Exactly. Why couldn't I go?
yeah,
Yeah.